Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care, Santa Clarita Hearing Center, and Traditions Healthcare Hospice. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host
Dr. Gene Dorio.
on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our in-studio guest this morning is Dr. Ginny Veloz, who is the owner of one of our sponsors, Santa Clarita Hearing Center. Good morning. How are you doing? It's good to see
Good
you
morning.
again.
Yes.
And you told me
Happy,
you hadn't been in a
happy
fight.
Veterans Day.
No.
No.
I had no fights.
No fight.
No.
Although it looks like it. Gene, you don't know what we're talking about.
That might be good.
No,
but
when I
did
came
wanna-
in this morning, Ginny took her glasses down and showed me these very, very dark circles under her eyes, and I thought, gee, who's she been in a fight with, you know?
I think I need more sleep.
So how you doing, doctor?
I'm good. Me
You know-
or doctor?
Both of you,
Oh, okay.
both doctors.
And before we start, I just want to mention it is Veterans Day, and it's the 11th month, the 11th day, at the 11th hour when we honor our veterans. And today in the local newspaper, there was a list of veterans who reside in Santa Clarita, honoring them. And of course, there are many veterans in this country and even around the world who we should honor as well. But those who have fought for our country have done their duty, but also put on a uniform and sacrificed. And I think it's so important that we recognize them today and every day. So thank you for your services, all of you veterans who are out there. The senior hour honors you, KHTS honors you, the city honors you, and the state and the country honors you. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you said that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And did you see the list in the Signal today?
Yes,
All the names of all of the veterans, and Russ's name was in there also.
that was great.
Yes, I think there were 1, 2, 3, 4 full pages of the Signal today with the list of all of the veterans who live or have lived up in the Santa Clarita Valley.
Wow.
It's quite a tribute, it really is.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get to work here. We have a guest, and we have some things to talk about regarding hearing, correct?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
absolutely. Always do.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first thing, how does hearing loss affect our lives?
You know, we know that hearing loss causes a problem with communication with other people, and that in and of itself can negatively impact our lives. It can cause anxiety, it can cause depression, it can cause tinnitus or ringing in the ears. But what we don't think about is the fact that it causes isolation. You know, we don't want to go to the places where we know it's going to be difficult, so we just choose to stay home. And by staying home, you know, we're not doing the things we like to do, and it just sort of accentuates the depression and the anxiety and everything else. It's really a catch-22. But hearing loss untreated can actually change the way the brain works. It can actually change the way the brain processes sounds. It's a neurodegenerative disease left untreated, which I think people don't really think about.
No, you're
There's no doubt
probably
about
right.
that. And that's so important for our older adults to realize, and their caregivers and family members, that there could be a thought that someone is becoming more isolated, having depression, but also having hearing loss and the belief that they're becoming demented when they're really not. So there's no doubt, and there's statistical research on this that bears that out, that there are some individuals that are, if they were diagnosed with their hearing loss, might be able to fight off the problems related to memory loss and dementia and live a better life if people realize that it was not just their brain being taken over by the subtleties of dementia and the neurologic problems, but that it's really hearing loss that's contributing more than anything else. So we as a community and society have to be aware of that.
Yeah, and it's treatable. It's really easily treatable.
Absolutely.
Well, it's also something very frustrating for the person who has the hearing loss because they don't want to admit in many cases, and I think this is especially true with men who don't want to, because I think they feel like it's a weakness of some kind when it really isn't. It's a function of living.
It's something that's going to happen to everybody. I tell my patients it's just wear and tear. You know, most of us end up with glasses because, you know, over time our vision changes and the muscles weaken and we put glasses on to help us. It's the same thing. Our ears are on from conception, from, I believe it's the first trimester when the ears are developed, and they never go off. You see women that put headphones on their belly who are pregnant to have the fetus hear music. Our ears are on all the time from that point to when we pass. They never shut off, ever.
No, you're absolutely right.
Wear and tear, I mean, we've earned it, So
That's right. I know with my husband, he didn't want to admit that he had a hearing loss. And I would speak to him, he'd say, "What'd you say? Say that again? Huh?" And I finally said to him, I said, "Do you realize how many times you say that to me?"
But usually it turns out to be your problem because you're not speaking clearly, you're not looking at him when you're talking to him, things like that. That's what I hear a lot.
Well, that's true, but a person with normal hearing, if I was walking away from you, you would be able to hear me.
Correct.
So that's an indication that, whoops, something's wrong. And like I said, I think men have a harder time accepting it than women do. And I think that's probably the case with most, if you want to call it a disease. I think that's true in most cases.
Yeah. They don't like to go to the doctor.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Don't you agree, Dr. Dorio?
Oh, absolutely. And I think people sometimes come in and I visit them at home where I realize that hearing loss could be contributing. And of course, the first thing I do is look in their ears to make sure wax is not a problem. And, being able to have a hearing test is invaluable to many of our patients. So I just want our listeners and our caregiver listeners to realize that if you're seeing your loved ones starting to have a memory problem and going back to that, that we also think about the possibility that their hearing is contributing to that. And as Jenny said, this is one of the things that you can correct, right, Jenny? This is, simply doing a hearing test and seeing if this is a problem or not.
Correct. Absolutely.
And it's so easy to do a hearing test. So very easy.
Usually takes about 15 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I finally took Russ in, he didn't want to go in. He says, "Nothing wrong with my ears. I can hear perfectly well."
Yeah.
Of course, the television was turned way up, and I found myself shouting.
So he really didn't have a problem. We do that. I remember my dad in a restaurant, and the waitress would come up and ask, "Oh, I'm sorry, what salad dressing did you want on your salad, sir?" And my dad would just stare at her, and my mom would say, "He'd like ranch," because
Hmm.
she knew he didn't hear her.
Yes, yes,
We do
Wow.
that.
yeah. We take care of our men.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
You remember that, Dr. Dorio, okay? Don't you forget that.
Well, I will always remember that. But did your father, did you say, Jenny, have hearing aids
He did.
at some point? At some point,
He did have
and
hearing aids when I became an audiologist, when I was in school to become an
uh-huh.
audiologist. He lost hearing from a couple different things, but the major one was chemotherapy, which affected
Mm.
his ability to understand the words. So while he was wearing great hearing aids and the volume was good, he was still understanding maybe 40 to 50% of what people were saying.
Uh,
So it just was never really clear for him.
Hmm.
Very
yeah.
frustrating.
Very frustrating.
And quality of life is tremendously affected when you don't have hearing. And once again, just going back again and emphasizing with our listening audience who might not be listening, we have to have the test done.
Hmm.
And commonly, people will not admit there's a hearing problem, but there are signs like the salad dressing part, Jenny, that you mentioned
Hmm.
with your dad.
Yep.
That that's a sign, and you have to be clued into these things and say why did not they stare and look and not answer when these kind of things start to happen. That helps to understand that maybe there's an underlying problem taking place, and getting them to at least rule out the possibility that a lack of hearing is playing a role is so important. How often do you get people coming in and saying, I didn't know I had a hearing problem until today? How often is that, Jenny?
Um, I get that a lot. I get that a lot. It's I'm here because of my wife. She made the appointment for me. I'm here because I'm tired of hearing it. So I'm here, do the hearing test and let me go home. And then
Right.
it's like, "Hey, this is let me ask you, are you having trouble in background noise?" "Well, yeah." "Is the TV loud?" "Well, I don't think it is, but everybody else does." And, this is why. And I show them, this is so treatable, and left untreated, you're just going to have a whole mess of stuff coming up down the road if you don't do something about it. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I also want to
And
remind people that we go to the dentist every 6 months. We get our eyes checked every year. We women have our mammograms. We do our colonoscopy. We do physical exams on a regular basis, and this is just another one. It's not a big deal.
But men don't seem to have the problems that arise with women, you know. They very rarely go for a mammogram,
Well, right, but they
unless
sh-
I
something
think
is
that
physically wrong
that's
that you can tell.
literally in the genes, though.
Yeah,
So, I think that there's a pride factor as well. So
absolutely.
we're just going to see that. But our duty to the people around us, to give them love, to give them encouragement, to support them in the best way we can. But the important part is to keep them in good health, especially our older adults. And one way is to look for the signs that say might be a problem.
Mhm.
The television, not hearing the doorbell, not picking up the phone.
Mhm.
Um, and in the long run, Jenny, isn't it true that we talked about dementia earlier, but when you are not interacting with your hearing because of a lack of hearing, it affects those neurons so that the neurons aren't working as well, and
That's
they
right.
just lay dormant or whatever happens to them. But that person then suffers because they're not able to communicate nor interact with the people around them. Is that not true?
That's absolutely true. And it's not just that they lay dormant, but they actually die. It's
Yeah.
atrophy of the brain, and if left unused, those little hair cells will die out, and that's it. We don't know how to regenerate them yet. I mean, they're working on it every day with stem cell research and things like that, but we don't know how to regenerate the ears. So we call it auditory deprivation, meaning that we're not exposing the brain and the ears to the certain sounds that our ears are no longer able to hear. And so if the ear's not hearing it, the brain's not getting it.
Absolutely.
And that's when we start to see the atrophy or the dying of those cells. And once they're gone, they're gone. We can't do anything about it.
And that leads to cognitive decline and maybe even dementia, which let's discuss the difference between those two when we come back.
Sure.
We need to take a break. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS.
At the Burrito Factory, their motto has always been to serve quality food with fast, friendly service. But did I mention the taste? When it comes to authentic taste and huge mouth-watering burritos, the Burrito Factory is second to none. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or a catered event, Burrito Factory has the taste of Mexico to satisfy your craving. Burrito Factory on Soledad Canyon Road next to Chi-Chi's Pizza in Canyon Country. Stop in or call ahead 288-0222.
This is Jill from the Santa Clarita Grocery, the all-volunteer grocery program serving children, families, and individuals experiencing food insecurities. Since January 2020, Santa Clarita Grocery has distributed 83 tons of fresh groceries to our 4,655 families in the SCV community. Santa Clarita Grocery is a drive-up, drive-through service with physical distancing in place to continue serving our community. If you are in need or looking for a charity to do the most good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery, one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. A full 99 cents out of every dollar goes directly back to the community. Santa Clarita Grocery operates on a 1% overhead and is sustained through private donations. Santa Clarita Grocery is at 21176 Center Point Parkway in the Oasis Furniture parking lot. Please visit our website at santaclaritagrocery.org or our Facebook at Santa Clarita Grocery to make a difference in our awesome town community. 425-7575. Be our guest and experience the difference.
Mend Cryotherapy is open. As always, they continue to clean and sanitize all equipment. Social distancing will be enforced and hand sanitizer will be provided throughout the facility. Temperature checks will be done daily on each employee, and masks will be provided if forgotten. They have amazing welcome back specials, including the $99 performance package, which includes a cryo session, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, which boosts recovery of damaged cells, the aromatherapy oxygen bar, NuCalm, and infrared sauna. There's also a beauty package with a cryofacial, infrared sauna, and more. And don't forget their extensive selection of health and wellness products, including CBD. Mend Cryotherapy is open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. For more information, go to MEND, M-E-N-D, cryotherapy.com. Mend Cryotherapy on Newhall Ranch Road in the Gateway Shopping Center.
Loss of hearing can affect the quality of life. Santa Clarita Hearing Center can help. They specialize in both preventative hearing loss and corrective measures, including diagnostic tests, new technology hearing aids, cochlear implants, hearing protection, and tinnitus treatment. They can adjust your current hearing aids or fit you for new ones. Santa Clarita Hearing Center also offers sleep molds, swim molds, and musician monitors. Book an appointment today. Log on to SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com. Located on McBean Parkway next to the hospital. That's SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Ginny Veloz, who is the owner of Santa Clarita Hearing Center. But before the break, we were discussing cognitive decline, and how does that relate to dementia?
Well, I really wanted to bring this up because it's a real key term when people are advertising for hearing aids, I've noticed. I'm always seeing things about hearing loss and dementia, And I think it's important to understand that just because you have hearing loss doesn't mean you're going to get dementia. I think it's more of a scare tactic. But
Interesting.
an educational thing too. You have to understand about that auditory deprivation. We have, what's the definition of cognition? First, is the process of just acquiring knowledge through and understanding through existence and through touching and senses, seeing, smelling, things like that.
Hearing.
And hearing. It's gathering information so your brain knows what's going on around you. So we have cognitive decline, which is a normal aging process. It's more of, our processing of things slows down a little bit, and our memory might be affected a little bit, and we might have some difficulty with language or different kind of visual spatial cues. It's just really a normal slowing down, wear and tear, just like the ears, right?
Yes.
It's normal. Dementia is when that decline, that cognitive decline, gets bad enough that now we're having impairment. Now it's our memory is severely impaired. We are having problems with communication. We're having problems with thinking. So it's a much more, it's a broad term, and it's a more severe case. It's not a natural decline anymore. It's now, end result is significant impairment. And then in the middle, we have the mild cognitive impairment, which is what we get from the cognitive impairment to dementia. It's the progression of our normal aging process to the more severe impairment. Okay?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, so when we talk about cognitive decline and hearing loss, which a lot of people are advertising, which a lot of people are talking about, it's a real big thing in hearing, because just a few years ago, we found the connection between hearing loss and cognitive decline that we could do studies on, and we could repeat the studies and get the same responses. So they were very valid responses that yes, untreated hearing loss will connect to cognitive decline. Why? Well, we have when we talked about social isolation, we're not going out to the places we usually go to. We're not stimulating our brain.
That's right.
We're not allowing our brain to hear the noises of the restaurant, our friends' voices.
That's right.
Our,
being involved.
We're not doing the things we liked to do. I had a patient very early on in my career, and I'll never forget her. She would always meet with her friends every Friday night to play cards, and her job was the scorekeeper. And she'd done it for years. These 4 women, they did it for years. Well, they would call out their scores, each hand. She was missing the sound, and so they accused her of cheating.
Oh, no.
And she stopped going.
Oh, no.
Because that was just something, well, that's counting, and that's looking at the cards, and that's talking to her friends, and that's so much information going into your ears.
Of everything.
You're losing it.
Yes.
We have to remember that that's part of the hearing loss. We think of hearing loss as, oh, I'll just turn the TV louder, it's okay. It's a lot more than that. We're missing all those little things, the grandkids talking. That's life. That's the most important thing.
Oh, it's very similar to what I call me having to write lists all the time.
Yes.
Because I forget.
Yes.
And it's not that I'm stupid. I'm just getting older, and I finally realized that, hey, maybe there's a reason for this. I'm not stupid. But as I get older, various functions that I used to do regularly, very quickly, without any problems, I'm not able to do them anymore that quickly or without problems. So I find myself now, in fact, I had to write 3 different things down here to call my kids to remind them to
Right.
do because I wasn't going to be there. So
And that's okay. That's okay. Hearing loss, and we talked about hearing loss being a neurodegenerative disease, meaning that there's a breakdown or an atrophy with it, and dementia is kind of the same thing. They kind of share that thread.
makes sense.
Yeah, so they go along together that way. They go along with not doing the things we like to do, which will then turn into isolation, which turns into depression, which turns into faster cognitive decline. It's really, they are always promoting Sudoku or do the crossword puzzle every day. Keeps your mind going, without doing those things, our mind just starts to decline a little faster.
That's very
And you know
true.
what else happens, Jenny? You know what else happens? Not only does the mental side start to deteriorate, but the physical side starts to deteriorate. And there's that classic film of a gentleman in a nursing home who is slumped over in his wheelchair, and the family had told them that he liked jazz, and so they put earphones on him and with jazz music in the earphones, and all of a sudden he starts to tap his foot, tap his hand, and it was like in the movie Awakening. His body and his mind started to come back, and when we realize that there's that connection of hearing to cognitive thoughts and then the physical side of it, it is all connected. But once again, going back, the reality for us as human beings to help others around us survive, as a doctor, as people who want to make sure our community and neighbors do well. This is what we have to be aware of much more often than ever before in the past. There is hope for people, and when we we're the ones who have it in our hands for those individuals, we can give them new life by being aware of it. So one of the keys that our listeners need to take away from this conversation is that we could save somebody because we've recognized they have this hearing loss. So what you do, Jenny, is so important to many of us still in this community, but our listeners who can hear this show need to be aware of this.
Yes, and the people who are listening, who are the caregivers, like you said, who are the neighbors. Watch out for your neighbors. Watch out for your friends and your family. And when you start seeing things like this, they miss the phone. Like you say, Dr. Dorio, about you hear the television from the sidewalk. A lot of what, huh, or a lot of responsive, just smiling and nodding, which clearly somebody didn't hear what was said.
But they want you to think they did.
Yeah, well, they're not fooling anybody, right?
No, they aren't.
Yeah. It's the family and the friends and the people around us that are going to see it first.
Exactly.
They're going to see it first. And when they speak up and we get this taken care of sooner, oh, the difference, the change in the hearing, and we can save that clarity of words, and we can keep you hearing the best you can. We're going to save what you have for longer when we use it, and we use it by putting hearing aids on. And it's not a big deal. They're little, and people typically don't even see them. And, it's such a change in life, quality of life. It's all about quality of life.
Absolutely. And you know, a lot of those problems start with teenagers. And I'm afraid that that's going to be a much larger population as they get
Oh,
older.
sure.
Because, I mean, I'll be in my car, and all of a sudden, a car will pull up, and I'm almost deafened by the music sounds that are coming out of that car. And I think to myself, you poor child, you're going to be deaf before you reach the age of 50, you know? And it's unbelievable. But kids nowadays have music up so high. They have the earphones in, and even when you have the earphones in, you can still hear this massive loud noise.
Yeah, that's the most dangerous one because the sound is so close.
Yes.
And the pods that go in are even closer, and you're getting more and more damage from that. You know, when I started this career about 20 years ago, the majority of the people I saw were 80 and up.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm seeing a lot more in their 50s and 60s. A lot more.
Oh, I
in
can
their 50s
imagine.
and 60s. Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with as they were younger, when this pop music phenomenon started, they were listening to this loud music.
And when
You
I
know?
started, it was mostly men I saw because the men were the ones out working in the factories and around the loud noises and the power
That's right.
tools and the military. And now we're seeing it's much more even, you know, that women are out there, you know, police officers and firefighters and in the military, and you know they're doing their thing, and it's much more even now
Oh yes,
for sure. Yeah.
it's
And
incredible.
since it's Veterans Day today, we remind our veterans that possibly if they have high potential to have hearing problems, remember to get that hearing test done. Veterans, it's really important because we all know whatever job you did, still when you were in the service, you were exposed to a lot of situations where you could not control the amount of noise around you, and you could not put in earplugs that were effective. So
Right.
just remember, veterans, take away from this show a hearing test.
Yep.
That's going to be important for you in the long run to allow you to have better quality of life.
And also the fact that if you're a veteran and you're having difficulty hearing, and you feel like I don't want to go into the Valley to Sepulveda VA, and I certainly don't want to go to West LA VA, that's way too far.
Yes.
You know, you can contact the VA and let them know you want to do the hearing test and that you have a provider right here in Santa Clarita, and I'm contracted with them. I work with them all the time, and they'll send you here locally. I'm right at the Henry Mayo campus, and you can have your hearing tested right here. If you need hearing aids, you know, we do that too. With the VA, and we also do the compensation and pension testing. So if that's something that you're looking at for hearing loss or tinnitus, I work with both of the major companies that work with the VA, QTC and VES, and we do comp and pen testing as well. You don't have to drive very far.
Now, what were those two kinds of tests you just mentioned?
The comp and pen.
Comp and pen. What is that?
Yeah, that's when the veterans or anybody who had been in the military find that they have hearing loss or tinnitus that creates difficulty with everyday life and work, that they can request a rating through the VA so that they get compensated for that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's terrific.
yeah.
That really is. Now, is that in part of their compensation that they get? Is that covered in that?
They have to request it.
Ah, I see.
So they go through a coordinator and they get the testing set up. And it's not just for hearing, it's for anything. If you have a bad shoulder because you fell, if you have, a bad foot, because you did so much walking, that you can request testing to see if your military experience created that problem or accentuated that problem,
Right.
and then you can ask for some kind of compensation.
I see. That's very interesting. You know, one of the things that always bothers me is people don't talk on their cell phones anymore. I mean, youngsters don't. It's always fiddling around with all these letters, you know, with their fingers. I mean, those fingers go 90 miles an hour, and I look at mine and I have to do each one separately with one finger. And I'm thinking, and why aren't they talking to each other?
Sometimes, for me, I just want to send a quick note. I don't need an answer right now. And I'm right in the middle of 2 patients, so I'm going to send a quick text over here and move on to my next patient, and you can respond to me when you get a chance. I don't have to stop what I'm doing and make the other person stop what they're doing to take a call. I'm not in the movies now, but sometimes my phone rings and I'm in the when I used to go to the movies and I can't talk, so I'll just kind of text and say I'll call you when I get out of the movie. You know, something like that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think we're getting close to a time to take a break, aren't we? Yes. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS.
Join us this fall for online fun with the Canyon Theater Guild online youth workshops. Super fun classes with acting, singing, dancing, audition tips, script writing, scene study, improv, and putting on real shows created for online performance. Get creative, meet new friends, and most of all, have a blast from the comfort of your own home. Call 661-799-2702 or ctgworkshops@gmail.com or canyontheater.org.
There is only one language spoken at Thai Dish, and it sounds something like this.
This is great.
Once people get a taste of Thai dishes, there's really no reason to do any more talking. Make it full of flavor, make it delicious, only at Thai Dishes. Enjoy the atmosphere, love the food. Thai Dishes on Valencia Boulevard for free delivery, 253 Food. That's 253 FOOD.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and when I invented my pillow, I wanted to have everything you'd ever want in a pillow. You can adjust the patented fill to your exact individual needs. You can wash and dry my pillow. It has a 10-year warranty not to go flat, and it's made in the USA. And now, for a limited time, you can get a queen-size premium My Pillow for the lowest price ever. Regularly $69.98, now only $29.98. That's a $40 savings. I'm also giving you deep discounts on all my MyPillow products, including my bed sheets, mattress toppers, and bath towels. Not only are you getting the lowest prices ever, but they make the best Christmas gifts ever. Buy now and I'll extend my 60-day money-back guarantee to March 1st, 2021.
Go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KHTS or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
Lots of people can build websites, but there's one Santa Clarita company that specializes in designing websites for your business. Small Dog Creative. The Small Dog Creative team is made up of local designers who are hands-on. Their talented team of experts build premium websites and redefine branding. Small Dog Creative doesn't just build websites. They'll upgrade your business's online presence and turn your business into a powerful online brand. Small Dog Creative, Santa Clarita's most innovative web and design company. SmallDogCreative.com.
Men Cryotherapy is open. As always, they continue to clean and sanitize all equipment. Social distancing will be enforced and hand sanitizer will be provided throughout the facility. Temperature checks will be done daily on each employee, and masks will be provided if forgotten. They have amazing welcome back specials, including the $99 performance package, which includes a cryo session, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, which boosts recovery of damaged cells, the aromatherapy oxygen bar, Nucom, and infrared sauna. There's also a beauty package with a cryofacial, infrared sauna, and more. And don't forget their extensive selection of health and wellness products, including CBD. Men Cryotherapy is open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. For more information, go to MEND, M-E-N-D, Cryotherapy.com. Mend Cryotherapy on Newhall Ranch Road in the Gateway Shopping Center.
Loss of hearing can affect the quality of life. Santa Clarita Hearing Center can help. They specialize in both preventative hearing loss and corrective measures, including diagnostic tests, new technology hearing aids, cochlear implants, hearing protection, and tinnitus treatment. They can adjust your current hearing aids or fit you for new ones. Santa Clarita Hearing Center also offers sleep molds, swim molds, and musician monitors. Book an appointment today. Log on to SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com. Located on McBean Parkway next to the hospital. That's SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Ginny Veloz, who is the owner of Santa Clarita Hearing Center, one of our sponsors. Here we go again.
Here we go.
Boy, it was a quick hour.
It always goes by so fast.
So
Well,
how can
maybe-
we wrap up?
Well, how about this? How about this, Barbara? You know, one of the things that our veterans suffer with, Jenny, is tinnitus because of their, the things they've done in the service. So can you just talk a little bit about that, how to recognize it, and what our veterans and others in our community who might have it, what they might be able to do about it?
Is it tinnitus or tinnitus?
Either one.
I think either way.
Either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you said tinnitus, I said, wait a minute, that's tinnitus. Okay.
Same thing. Either one is acceptable. Tinnitus or tinnitus is a noise that you hear in your ear that's not out in the world around you. It's coming from inside your ear, inside your head. It's different really for everybody. The tone can change. The volume can change. I've heard it described as a high-pitched tone, as the ocean sound, as crickets or cicadas, as bacon sizzling, as a high wire. That it's very, very different for each person. It's very, very commonly linked to hearing loss, damage to the nerves. Somehow there's different thoughts of what it is and where it comes from. But it's very common for people who have hearing loss to also have the tinnitus as well. In my experience, I find that a lot of people that I fit with hearing aids, because I'm going to make the sound louder where the damage is, a lot of times people will say, when I'm wearing my hearing aids, I really don't even notice it. When I take my hearing aids off at night, then I can hear it. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's a and I have people with perfectly normal hearing that have tinnitus, and it could be a sign that something's coming. Damage is being done in an area that we're not testing yet. But it can also be associated with excessive caffeine, can exacerbate. Excessive aspirin. A lot of medications have the side effect of ringing. And even when they don't, when you're starting to mix 2, 3, 4, 5 different medications, the mixtures of it can cause ringing in the ears. Stress, high blood pressure. There's just so many. Wax can cause, infection can cause. So many people have tinnitus. Most of them have hearing loss and some don't. Some don't.
Interesting.
So, for some people if I pay attention to it, I hear it, but no big deal. And there's going to be a very, very few, very small portion that can't live with it. That it really does drive them to the point of suicidal thoughts.
You mean it gets that bad?
Mm-hmm. In my time, I've had a couple people who have chosen that route, but there is help. There's different therapies that can be done to help retrain the brain to hear different areas instead of the noise. I think tinnitus training is a very specialized field in audiology. I don't do it. I refer to somebody I know who's a wonderful audiologist who does work with a lot of tinnitus people, and I think that's the key. You want somebody who does a lot of treatment,
Who knows what they're doing,
and they're up on the information, and they know exactly what they're doing. We can't know everything in the field.
That's true.
And so it's, for me, if it's something that I feel is out of my comfort level and context, then I refer to somebody else.
Thank you, Jenny. Well, can you let the listeners know how they can get in touch with you and where you're located again?
Sure. Santa Clarita Hearing Center. My phone number to the office is 661-388-4135. We're located on the Henry Mayo campus. The address is 23861 McBean Parkway, and we're in D as in David, 14.
Building D.
Building D.
Yes.
And we're back in near the emergency room.
Well, you certainly have given us a lot of information. I think on Veterans Day, those who are listening have realized that there's more to getting a hearing test than they really have thought. And it's of value to many in looking at themselves and looking at the friends and people around them, that a hearing test plays such a big role, a much bigger role than anyone has ever thought in the past. So we appreciate Jenny for being on the show. As usual, you bring valuable information to our veterans and everybody else. So thank you for being on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And once again, happy Veterans Day to you and Barbara and the people
You
like
too.
KHTS.
You too.
All of those in Santa Clarita who have served us. Thank you so much. We are sponsored by Santa Clarita Hearing Center, Dr. Ginny Veloz, as well as Comfort Keepers in-Home Care and Traditions Home Health and Hospice Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.